planned on standing here tonight with my hands uncertain and my heart too bright. You said something simple about the falling rain, and the whole world tilted on its axis again. I've been here before, I thought I knew the place, but nothing quite prepared me for your face. The way you pause before you choose a word, like every syllable, something to be heard. And I don't know what this is yet, too early for a name, but I know I remember this exact light, and the way you smile, just the same. This is the first breath of you, before I know what I'm walking into. The moment before the moment starts, when the world gets quiet and the feeling starts. First breath of you, and I'm already changed. First breath of you, and nothing stays the same. You ask me what I'm reading these days. I said anything that slows me down a little. You laughed me too and looked away, and something in between us solved a riddle. I watched you stir your drink and lose your thought, somewhere between the question and the answer. And in that gap, that beautiful brief gap, my cautious heart became a willing dancer. This is the first breath of you, before I know what I'm walking into. The moment before the moment starts, when the world gets quiet and the feeling starts. First breath of you, and I'm already changed. First breath of you, and nothing stays the same. Maybe this is nothing, maybe this is everything. Maybe I'm just tired of keeping the door closed, but the way the evening landed when you laughed felt like the start of something I already know. First breath, first light, first time everything felt right. First breath of you. wasn't one big moment, that's the thing. It was 1,000 small ones I ignored. The turned down phone, the changed routine, the little distance I kept stepping toward. I told myself it was a season of stress, that people go through patches and come back. The patches have a start and have an end, and yours just kept on stretching, fading black. Now I'm mad enough the evenings when you came home changed somehow, and I realize all the quiet lies were louder than I'd let them be. Until now, all the quiet lies laid end to end would stretch from here back to where this began. All the quiet lies I chose to not believe, because I needed to believe in us, in the plan. All the quiet lies, I heard them all along. All the quiet lies, I just refused to call them wrong. You didn't shout or slam a single door. You just slowly became someone I didn't know. Polite at dinner, absent in the morning, a stranger with a face I used to love so. I want to be angry, properly, loudly angry. Mostly I'm just standing in the quiet of a house that used to hum with something real. Now still as all the lies that I won't fight. All the quiet lies laid end to end would stretch from here back to where this began. All the quiet lies I chose to not believe, because I needed to believe in us, in the plan. All the quiet lies, I heard them all along. All the quiet lies, I just refused to call them wrong. I'm not asking for an explanation. The math is clear enough without the proof. I'm just sitting with the quiet aftermath of learning the whole shape of what was true. All the quiet lies, should have known. All the quiet lies, now I'm alone. There's a blue house on Mercer Street that I drive past when I need to remember. The yard is different now, they cut the elm, and someone painted over our carved letters. But standing at the curb, I close my eyes, and it's the summer of our second year. The porch light always on when I came late. Your mother saying she's still up, go on, she'll hear. The past lives in specific places, in addresses and in smells, in the exact way afternoon light landed on the floors of rooms where stories dwell. The blue house on Mercer Street still holds everything I used to be. The person learning how to love for real. The nights too young to know what nights could feel. The blue house on Mercer Street is where my heart goes when it needs to breathe. When the present gets too loud and sharp, I drive down Mercer to remember where I start. Your mother sold it in the winter 2004. Said the stairs had gotten long and she was tired. We drove out one last time and stood outside, not sure what ritual the moment required. We didn't say much, just looked at the window, at the second floor where everything began. I think we both knew that the house wasn't the thing, but it was easier to miss what we could understand. The blue house on Mercer Street still holds everything I used to be. The person learning how to love for real. The nights too young to know what nights could feel. Memory's a strange address, it doesn't move. It sits exactly where you left it, patient as a stone. You can visit it on any given Tuesday and find yourself exactly as you were, not alone. Mercer Street, the blue light. Mercer Street, the warm night. I was young, and so were you, on Mercer Street. From a number I still had saved, under a name I never changed. I noticed the voice was different, slower, more assured, but the laugh at the end, identical. I noticed. I said, it's been a while. You said a while. We both agreed on nothing else more safely. You asked if I still lived on the east side. I said I moved, but not that far, not lately. We danced around the question of a meeting for 20 minutes in a parking lot of words. But then you said Thursday, the place by the fountain, and something old and bright inside me stirred. We stayed longer than we planned at that table, longer than the coffee and the light allowed. We stayed longer than two people 'cause the leaving felt too real. Longer than we planned, just two people rediscovering how much there is, how much there still can feel. You told me about the years I didn't see. I told you about the things that changed my thinking. We laughed at some of it, sat still for some of it, and somewhere in the middle stopped pretending that this was just two people catching up, that this was just politeness and old habit. The table shrank between us as we talked, and I watched us both stop trying to combat it. We stayed longer than we planned at that table, longer than the coffee and the light allowed. We stayed longer than two people with a history usually let themselves stay out loud. Turning felt like finally finding spring. Longer than we planned, and I'm glad. Longer than we planned. Best thing I had. Close enough to see each other clearly, never close enough to touch by nature. Parallel lines, that's the geometry. I know the sound of your alarm in the morning. I know the playlist that you run to on Sundays. I know the way you hold your breath before you speak. But I'll only ever know these things from Mondays. Parallel lines share every quality of closeness, except the only one that matters in the end. They travel at the same speed, in the same direction, forever, just a breath apart. They never blend. We are parallel lines on the same long road, running side by side with the same heavy load. Everything in common, nothing to be done. Two lines that love each other and never become one. Parallel lines, the most beautiful geometry. Parallel lines, the most impossible will be. There's a version of this in another universe, where the angels shifted just enough to matter, where we met before the lives we've built were built, careful structures we'd shatter. But in this one, the clean, unyielding one, we stay our course with grace and full awareness. We love each other in the only way that's left, from a distance measured in a kind of nearness. We are parallel lines on the same long road, running side by side with the same heavy load. Everything in common, nothing to be done. Two lines that love each other and never become one. I made peace with parallel. Most mornings I've learned the beauty of a road beside a road. Some loves are not for living, just for carrying. A parallel companion on the way back home. Parallel, side by side. Parallel, open wide, running forever, just apart. Parallel lines of the heart. The boxes are all labeled in the hallway. I've been careful with the things that have a fragile side. The books are split in ways that felt fair, and the records, well, the records took a while. I'm not taking the blue chair, you loved it more. I'm not taking the plan, it won't survive my window. I'm leaving you the good pan and the small lamp, the one that made the bedroom feel like winter. I thought the hard part would be the argument, but arguments at least have fire and sound. The hard part is a Tuesday afternoon quietness of dividing what you built right to the ground. What I don't take with me stays with you. What I don't take with me, the years we grew through. All the ordinary things that made life, I'll leave the good ones, take the memories of the nights. What I don't take with me was ours to keep. What I don't take with me, I'll still see in sleep. I drove away at 6 on a Saturday morning, before the neighborhood was up and asking questions. The rearview mirror held the house a moment, then the road bend left and settled my direction. I cried somewhere around the bridge on Route 9, the ugly kind, the kind you can't perform. Then pulled over, breathed, bought terrible coffee, and drove the rest of the way through a clearing storm. What I don't take with me just across a week, the last shared meal, the last time calling it home, the last time something here was ours to keep. I didn't take the blue chair, I didn't take the lamp, I took the years and left while I still can. There are songs I cannot listen to in daylight. They only work at night with the windows down. Songs that belong to one specific summer, songs that are a map of a specific town. The radio was always on that season. We learned the words before we knew we'd learn them, and every song became the backdrop of a feeling that I've been spending every year since then returning. Music is the most precise of time machines. It lands you in the body that you had, in the car, the kitchen, on the porch at midnight, before the summer turned and you went back. The songs that summer played, I still know every word. The songs that summer played, the clearest thing I've heard. They live inside a room I can't stop visiting, a room that smells like August and forgiving. Songs that summer played, still playing me, still playing me, still playing me. I heard one last October on a Tuesday, coming from a restaurant as I passed. I stopped on the sidewalk in the November cold and lived inside that summer for a half a glass. The couple at the window saw me standing, a man just frozen on the pavement in the dark. They couldn't know I wasn't there. I was 19, standing barefoot on a porch with an open heart. The songs that summer played, I still know every word. The songs that summer played, the clearest thing I've heard. They live inside a room I can't stop visiting, a room that smells like August and forgiving. You can't go back, but music disagrees. It takes you by the collar and it pulls you back into the version of yourself who stood before the world got practical and full. That summer, those songs, that summer I belong. Still there, still playing, in the back of everything. I changed the lock, I want you to know that. I changed the lock and painted the front wall. I was thorough about removing the evidence of the life we'd built before the fall. I told my friends, they nodded and believed me. I told myself repeatedly and loud. I even had a run of good months somewhere, where I meant it, where I said it and felt proud. But then you showed up at the edge of October, the way you always did, unhurried and exact. And I stood in the doorway of my careful new life, and realized I'd never locked the back. I unlocked the door again, didn't mean to. I unlocked the door again, just like before. I built the walls and swore I'd keep them solid. But here you are and here I am, and there's the door unlocked again, because some things don't close fully. Unlocked again, unlocked again, because you're part of how I'm made. Unlocked again, unlocked again. I'm not angry at the feeling, just a little tired of how well you know the way. We talked for 3 hours on the porch that evening, the kind of talking that pretends to be catching up, but really it's two people remembering in real time what they felt before they had the sense to stop. You look the same, but somehow more right, like you've been somewhere and it showed on you clearly. I hope I look that way to you as well, like someone who came through something and can see more nearly. I unlocked the door again, didn't mean to. I unlocked the door again, just like before. I built the walls and swore I'd keep them solid. But here you are and here I am, and there's the door. Maybe the lock was never really the point. Maybe some people don't get locked out, they stay living in the structure of the person that they shaped, in ways the repaint and the new key can't erase. Unlocked again, you know where I live. Unlocked again, I don't know how. 30 years ago you wore a yellow dress to a party neither of us wanted to attend. I was standing by the window with a warm drink, not expecting anything, and then the room divided neatly in two before and after, which is how I mark the time now. Before the yellow dress and everything that followed, after which is every year since somehow. People ask us for the secret of a marriage that outlasts the easy parts and stays. I say Stay curious about each other. Stay interested in the particular ways. 30 years and still I wanna know you. 30 years and still you make me laugh. 30 years and still the morning with you is the reason that I love the second half. 30 years and still the only still I need. 30 years of ordinary, extraordinary days. 30 years, and if I had the choice again, I'd wear the same clothes and find you in the same place. We've raised 2 kids and buried both our fathers. Moved 3 times and lost more than we named. Sat in hospital rooms at strange hours together, and came out the other side, unbeautified but unashamed. I love you not in spite of all the hardness, but woven through it like the thread that holds the seam. You are the constant in the math of my existing, the most specific and recurring dream. 30 years and still I wanna know you. 30 years and still you make me laugh. 30 years and still the morning with you is the reason that I love the second half. If I could write you something that outlasts us, something that survives the names on stone, it would be this: 30 years was not enough, and I would take 30 more and still want home. 30 years, still 30 years, still you. Still you. We have Wednesday afternoons, that's what we have. 2 hours borrowed from a life I can't live in. The coffee shop on 5th with a low light, and everything we can't say but keep giving. I know the name of your dog, your sister's birthday, the city where you almost moved at 23. You know the reason that I'm afraid of flying, that I cry at movies quietly. We know each other in the ways that matter, the soft interior, the unguarded parts. But knowing isn't having, and we know that. 2 Wednesday people with mismatched hearts. Borrowed hours, that's all we are. Borrowed hours, never getting far, enough to call this something with a name. Borrowed hours in the Wednesday counting them like coins I can't quite spend. Borrowed hours with a borrowed end. Sometimes you'll say something so exact that I feel seen the way I rarely am. And I hold the feeling like an object, warm and temporary in my hand. I thought about what different would have looked like. A different year, a different set of facts. But I was born into this particular story, and it doesn't have the door I wanna crack. Borrowed hours, that's all we are. Borrowed hours, never getting far, enough to call this something with a name. Borrowed hours in the Wednesday rain. I'm not complaining, I want you to know that Wednesday afternoons are more than some get. I just wish that borrow felt a little less like the only word that fits and doesn't let me forget Wednesday, the low light. Wednesday feels right. Borrowed hours, that's my life. The night before you left, we didn't sleep. We stayed up watching old films on the sofa, not talking much, just being in the room. Before the room became a room, I'd have to hold on. We ordered food too late, ate half of it. You fell asleep somewhere around hour 3. I watched you breathing in the television light and tried to memorize what that looked like. Free. The night before we're leaving is its own thing. It has a texture that the daylight never will. The way the hours stretch and then collapse, the way the silence says the things you can't fulfill. The night before you left, I stayed awake. The night before you left, too much at stake to waste on sleep what I could spend on you. The last full night before the morning through everything I knew into the past tense. The night before you left, I kept the lights low, watch you breathe, you let the last hours go. That night lives in me like a photograph, the last full frame of our first and only half. I drove you to the airport in the gray. We didn't make a scene, we're not that kind. One long embrace, you said I'll call when I land. I said I know and tried to leave it kind. I sat in the short-term parking for an hour, just watching planes lift off into the low clouds. thinking about the night before on the sofa. How quiet love can be and still be loud. The night before you left, I stayed awake. The night before you left, too much at stake to waste on sleep what I could spend on you. The last full night before the morning threw everything I knew into the past tense. I still have the film we watched unwatched now, still on the shelf in the original case. I can't quite bring myself to watch it over. It has too much of that room and your face. The night before, the low light. The night before, you were right there and gone.